Fred. Hi, I'm Paul Bates, and welcome to Townsend's debate team. Today we've assembled 6 people, 3 on the proposition and 3 on the opposition, to debate a motion. And the motion is, the United States should lower the voting age. On the proposition team, we have Jessica, Angela, and Rachel. On the opposition team, we have Krista, Melissa, and Kylie. Now, these students have only been working in parliamentary debate for 6 weeks, so we applaud their courage and we celebrate the work that they've put together to bring this debate to you today. Thank you, and with that, let's get started.
Hi, my name is Jessica Nicewonder. I would like to thank the film crew, the opposition team for being here today, and I would like to thank my team members because I need their support and I'm glad that we didn't have to use a substitute. We are going to discuss today lowering the voting age to 16 and 17-year-olds. The first issue that I would like to bring up is driving. The government allows 16 and 17-year-olds to drive a potentially deadly weapon. I mean, you can run over people with cars, can't you? Why can't we entrust them with votes? The highest percentage of car crashes may be caused by teenagers, but that may be contributed to just because they're new, not because they're making bad decisions. Also, 95% of drivers drive great, and if 95% of our votes were educated, wouldn't our country be led by a great president? I'll take your point.
Well, wouldn't voting be new to these kids? We've seen in driving that things that are new to them, they don't do so well, and so don't you think they would not do very great in voting?
No, because they have taken government classes, and they have taken history, and they have had years of study on government and things like that. Letting teenagers drive was a great idea. No, thank you. Maybe voting will be too. 16 and 17-year-olds are taxed without representation. This does not include sales tax. There are a few exceptions to this, such as child actors like the Gerber baby or the little girl in the Barbie commercial. But they probably wouldn't gather the interest to go and vote anyways. They're too busy acting on their commercials and getting paid. Besides, the majority of workers that are taxed without representation are 16 and 17-year-olds. They should be allowed to vote. 16 and 17-year-olds are intelligent enough to make responsible decisions. A lot of people say that if a 16 or 17-year-old wanted to vote, they would vote just like their parents would tell them to. This same kind of argument was used less than 100 years ago when women weren't allowed to vote. It was said that women would vote like their husbands would tell them to. This was also used against African Americans because they were said to vote like the important white people would. Eventually, we let these groups make their votes, and we found out that they can make responsible, educated votes and vote for the right president or campaigning officer. I would also like to quote a girl named Rebecca Tilson. She said that if 16 and 17-year-olds are old enough to get sick in the nation with the worst public health care, if they are old enough to go to schools that are underfunded by the government, and if they're old enough to live in poverty in the richest nation in the world, they should be able to play a part in making the country better. I'll take your point.
What about little kids that live in poverty or little kids that get sick? Wouldn't they have a right to vote?
No, because we're talking about 16 and 17-year-olds, not small children. No, thank you. This country's voter turnout is at an all-time low. No, thank you. This country's voter turnout is at an all-time low. We need increases in votes. I mean, shouldn't we look good? We have presidents and we need to look really important. An increase would be great. I would like to once again say thank you for coming, and I'd like to thank the camera crews and the opposition team and my team. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Krista. First, I'd like to take a moment to thank you all for coming here today, including the proposition team of whom we shall be arguing or debating against. Lowering the voting age would have no benefits. It would be giving the 16 and 17-year-olds responsibilities that most would not want or even use. Why will they be too concerned about other issues to even bother in making political decisions? 16 and 17-year-olds make up approximately 2.7% of the U.S. population, or somewhere over 7 million. If they were allowed to vote, they alone could sway the voting election one way or the other. Now, do you really want 16 and 17-year-olds who do not really have that much political experience to have that much impact on the direction of important issues? Most 16 and 17-year-olds haven't even taken political classes. 18-year-olds are also more mature than 16 and 17-year-olds are. When you're 18, you're normally in college, on your own, making your own responsibilities and having your own decisions. When you're in college, you're also normally living in dorm rooms or sororities away from your family. So your parents really have no say in what you do or who you vote for. Yes?
Yes, but wouldn't this make them more susceptible to peer pressure instead of parental pressure?
Yes, that's another issue. 16 and 17-year-olds are also more open to peer pressure than the older 18-year-olds are, because when you're 16 and 17, you're in high school and you're wanting to impress the people around you. And when you're 18, you're also considered as an adult, so you're considered to be on your own. Young people are also more open to influence because you're around peer pressure and your parents more often when you're younger. It is often claimed that if a younger person was given the right to vote, that they would vote as their parents instruct them to, confirming political power to those who have children. No, thank you, not at this time. Another issue, like I said earlier, would be peer pressure. When you're younger, you're more open to influence because you want to impress the popular crowd around you. There's a great chance that if your best friend is voting for a certain someone, that you might vote for them as well. Doesn't one thing normally lead to another? When you're given an inch, you take a mile. If we lower the voting age, wouldn't those young minors who are unable to drink alcoholic beverages, wouldn't they soon be wanting to lower the drinking age as well from 21 to 16, 17, or 18? Now what's that going to lead to? Yes?
You stated that a person might vote for who their best friend votes for because of peer pressure, but isn't it true that the voting is an opinion and you can vote for who you want to?
Yes, but what if their best friend was saying, here, vote for this person because, you'll be cool if you vote for this person. They're putting them on the spot, so maybe they'll be like, okay, maybe I should vote for them. And no, thank you. In the last election, only half of the 18-year-olds registered to vote actually did vote, and only 26% of those registered actually did vote. No, thank you, not at this time. The proposition team stated that less than 100 years ago, this same issue was brought up, except at that time, it was women who were not allowed to vote. Now, let's not forget, this is today we're talking about. But less than 100 years ago, there was prejudice amongst women, where the men believed that they overpowered the women and were smarter than them. The proposition team also stated that 16 and 17-year-olds deserve the right to vote because they get sick and because they live in poverty. What does that have to do with voting? And doesn't everyone get sick once in their life, so should everyone be allowed to vote? The proposition team also stated no taxation without representation. The proposition team acts as if 16 and 17-year-olds are the only non-voters being taxed. I pay taxes. The other day I went to the store and I bought a Snickers bar. It cost 25 cents, but I paid 27 cents. Does this mean that I should be allowed to vote simply to get my 2 cents worth?
Shame.
I hardly think so. And what about children like actors, like the baby on the Gerber's commercial? Should she be allowed to vote just because her income was taxed?
Shame.
They also said age discrimination. We are not picking out a age group that we do not like. So that wouldn't really be age discrimination. They also stated that 16 and 17-year-olds are the best age group to represent their points, views, and needs that they would like. Well, yes, that is true, but isn't it true that when you vote, you're not only voting for what you need and what your age group needs or wants, but yet you're voting for what the whole world needs? And so would you really want... Thank you, that concludes my speech.
Hi, my name is Angela, and I'd like to thank the proposition team for being here with me and the opposition team. The proposition team first stated that 16 and 17-year-olds are given the responsibility to drive. Driving gives them a chance of crashing and The opposition team stated that teens wouldn't, in a point of information, the opposition team stated, wouldn't teens be new to voting if they're new to driving also? Well, voting is an opinion, so that really doesn't matter. Voting for the presidential election is an opinion, in fact, and there is no wrong or right vote. The opposition team also stated that giving teens this chance to vote for the presidential election is giving them too much responsibility. Isn't it true that 16 and 17-year-olds are getting ready to become an adult? Don't they need to learn their responsibilities? I'll take your point.
What if this is too much responsibility at one time? Haven't we seen in Columbine how kids can get stressed out, especially at 16 and 17?
Also, voting, it's not something that they have to do, so they are volunteering to do it. So it isn't putting too much pressure on them if they didn't want to. No, thank you. The opposition team also stated that they would be getting peer pressured by their best friends. Like their best friends would say, oh, vote for so-and-so because they will do so-and-so for you. Well, also like I stated before, voting is an opinion and there is no wrong or right vote. The voter turnout in the last year has been an all-time low. We need more competition between the opponents. So if we let 16 and 17-year-olds vote, don't you think that they'll have more competition? I'll take your point.
So are you going to put the pressure on 16 and 17-year-olds saying that we should let them vote because we don't have enough voters?
It isn't putting pressure on them because they can vote if they want to vote. No, thank you. No, thank you. Also, 16 and 17-year-olds have responsibilities already. They're allowed to work, they have a car. And by the way, 95% of 16-year-olds did not in fact cause car accidents in the last year. Voting is an opinion, and that's a point.
Yes, but that 5% left, wouldn't that lead to maybe 20% car crashes and leading to even more deaths? Here.
No, because most of the time, 16 and 17-year-olds aren't the ones who cause accidents. As you can see, 95% of them weren't ones who caused them. No, thank you. Also stated by the opposition team, 16 and 17-year-olds will most likely be pressured by their parents to vote for whoever their parents votes for. This is so not true. I don't know any 16 or 17-year-old, let alone any other teenager, who would actually listen to their parents. I know for a fact that I don't listen to my parents anytime. I mean, if a 17-year-old girl was given the opportunity to have an open party, but her mom said, oh honey, it has to end at 5 o'clock, I'm sorry, do you honestly think she'll listen to her mom? I didn't think so. I'll take your point.
If 16 and 17-year-olds are so disrespectful to authority figures, why do you think they should have the responsibility of picking the leadership of our country?
Here.
Once again, voting isn't a responsibility, it's an opinion. They vote for who they think that they should win. 16 and 17-year-olds would give a bigger vote for the voter turnout. There would be more competition between the nominees for the president, and I think that you should vote for the proposition team for this reason. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Melissa, and once again I would like to thank everyone for coming today. The judge, the film crew, the audience, and I would like to say thank you to my proposition team to whom I will be debating against. First of all, they brought up how we would like to get more votes because we as a country would look bad. Just because we look bad doesn't mean we should let people vote. I mean, just because we need to increase or because we want to look good, we need to let other people who we don't even know if they have the capability to vote. Also, the only reason we lowered the voting age to 18 is because those who were 18 were being drafted. Those who are 16 and 17 are not getting drafted. They don't take they're not the ones taking responsibility, say if we go to war, as we might do right now. I'll take your point.
Isn't it true that you can get drafted at 16?
Yes, it is true, but isn't it true that not all wars lead into years, such as the Persian Gulf War, which only lasted 100 days?
Here.
Also, they stated that they are taking that at this moment. Also, they stated that, no, thank you. Also, they stated that they have been taking classes such as U.S. history. Isn't it true that they should take classes such as economics and government, which is allowed, but as a senior, which you are usually 18 years old? No, thank you. And also, where are we going to draw the line? 14-year-olds have the capability to work, but doesn't that just mean that they are being taxed just as much as a 16 or 17-year-old, or even an 18 or 19-year-old? I'll take your point.
Earlier you stated that not all wars last like a certain amount of years, but isn't it true that they can last that amount of years?
They can, but they do not always, which is my point.
Here.
And as stated by Krista, one thing leads to another. If we let 16-year-olds vote, and then all of a sudden we are debating whether we should lower the drinking age, wouldn't that just give them more influence to what they thought? Like if they wanted to drink as a 16 or 17-year-old when they were in school, wouldn't they just be like, oh yeah, let's do it because I remembered I wanted to do it? And then plus driving. If we let them vote on such things such as drinking and driving, no thank you, then drinking at age 16 or something, that's giving them more of a chance to get in car accidents. And also, as Kylie, my partner, stated, what about the Columbine shooting? Aren't we putting a little bit too much stress on them? They're already thinking about what they're going to do with the rest of their lives. I mean, come on. Where are we going to draw the line once again? Things with too much stress can lead to doing violent things that we don't want to happen in our country. That's one of the things that we need to think about. I'll take it.
You earlier stated that it would put too much stress on them if they voted, leading to the Columbine shooting, but isn't it true that the people who are interested in voting would vote, those who weren't wouldn't?
Yes, that is true, but also they can be persuaded, like putting stress on them again. Kids or people such as bullies can be like, oh, well, if you don't vote, then when you come to school, this is going to happen to you, or, you know, which puts even more stress on them. And can't we just let kids be kids? You know, they worry about things in their life all the time. We need to do that. And also, 18-year-olds have a low population of voters already. Don't you think the lower the age goes, the less the population will be? Oh, and also they said that 16 and 17 year olds are interested. I have a cousin who's 10 who is interested. Should we now let my cousin vote?
Here,
I don't think so. Stating all my points, I would hope that you would vote for the opposition team. Thank you.
I would like to thank everyone for coming here today, especially the prop and op teams. Now, let's get started. Oh wait, hold on one second. Oh yeah, as we have stated, influence, there's very much influence that kids can get under, such as peer pressure and their parents.
Shame.
Thank you. Infants, especially bullies too. Now, some kids don't want to look stupid by not voting. But I know that the whole everything about voting can get confusing and put a lot of pressure on kids about who to vote for.
Here.
Which can go towards violent things, such in our schools, which I don't know about you, but I do not want violent things in my school. And about the sickness, I think that this should not even be a point, because it doesn't state, they state that only 16-year-olds, if they get sick, should vote.
Here.
But what if my 2-year-old brother gets sick in the hospital because
Shame.
of bad health care? He should vote just because he got sick and just because of bad hospitals and hold on one sec. Poverty. We have poverty everywhere. So if we let everyone that lives in poverty vote, why should we stop at 16? Because poverty is everywhere, even on the streets. The homeless guy that's probably dropped out of school, you think we should let him vote because he lives in poverty?
Shame.
And about the actors. There's more than just Gerber babies and people that do the Barbie commercials. Because what happens if there's a 14-year-old actor that wants to vote and still gets taxes taken out of him, and also he works at other places because he has a working permit? Should we have him go vote on what our country is going to do just because he is taxed and he is too young, maybe, to vote? Now, I really much urge you to vote for the opposition side because of everything that we have told you.
Shame.
And also about violence in our schools. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rachel. On behalf of the proposition team, I'd like to thank the opposition team and the camera crew and the judges. Okay. These are the reasons that the judge should vote for the proposition team. Main reasons are 16 and 17-year-olds have the responsibility to be able to drive and hold down a job. Why shouldn't they be able to vote? That's just as big of a responsibility, even though it may be an opinion. You're still allowed to vote. So and about peer pressure is another thing. Peer pressure, people, even if they have peer pressure, there's no wrong vote because voting's an opinion.
Shame.
And it'll also increase voter turnout. There will be more people. It'll increase competition for the people who are running for office. Even if 18-year-olds don't vote that much, 16-year-olds even if they don't vote that much, even if they're 16, they'll still bring up the population of voting to increase competition for the people running for office. Melissa stated that 16 and 17-year-olds are still kids, and they're still kids, and why would they want to bother with it? 16 and 17-year-olds aren't kids if they hold down a job and they drive. What makes you think they're kids if they can drive and hold down a job and pay taxes out of their job money, paycheck?
Shame.
What makes you think that they aren't kids if they're kids? And for driving, 95%, they may have the highest percentage getting into accidents, but 95% don't get into accidents. They drive perfectly, and if they're allowed to drive a bullet that can kill a person and 95% drive perfectly, why should we not let them vote just because the highest percentage it gets into accidents? A lot of older people get into accidents, 90-year-olds that drive, they can't see. Why should we not lower the voting age if we let them vote and they can barely see? They have a high percentage of accidents too because they can't even see where they're going. On behalf of the Proposition team, I'd like to thank you all for coming, and I hope you vote for the Proposition team.